Pardon me. Well, I'm gonna have to say there was a night, I don't remember what day or time, but I know that it was dark and I know that it was like early morning. And I woke up to somebody breaking something. And my fur baby, I had a gaudy pit, Lala. Lala was a rescue. She was severely, traumatized. And she woke up and she was like, one thing with Lala, when Lala sensed something, it was over. She's not going to beg. She's not going to bark down. You cannot give her a command. She's like, no, I know that I know that I know that I need to chop this person up. That was her. So, and I had another pity, Prosperity, who was more like me. So the two were juxtaposed, but they loved each other. But anyway, so this guy, I'm looking out my back of my window, and this guy he's picking up rocks and he's throwing it at this silver Cadillac. Beautiful silver Cadillac. And I was like, why is it parked there? But I was living in Blue Phoenix Rising, which was a van that was donated to me, and I was grateful. It only went 20 miles an hour until I let a tweaker, didn't know it was a tweaker. Of course, I didn't know my etiquette. I'd just been on the streets for a little bit. So I learned really quick, don't let people that you don't know mess with your stuff. And he had a hustle, and it was sad because you couldn't lay hands on him without getting picked up. But anyway, so that's what the areas that I was around. There was other homeless people there. There was some tweakers would come back there, right? So it was a spot that was always being patrolled by the cops. They just knew it was a hot spot, and there was a big field back there. There was a kind of a junkyard, cars. They did Mercedes and stuff like that, foreign cars. And so anyway, this guy is busting the windows out of this silver Cadillac, and I'm just like, oh my God, what is he doing? And he's coming up to me. I grab it because I'm like, fuck this. I grab a bat. I got Big Bertha, big old black plastic, not one of them wood ones, and I was going to crack him. So, and he knew it too. He said, as soon as I opened the door, he was like, which was bold. Like, so this guy was high. He was already high. And he was bold. And then I saw him at the Domino's. So anyway, let me finish. Sorry. So he was opening the door and I was getting ready to crack him. And, he's like, oh, I got this, right? I got this. And he was clumsy with it. Like, I got this. It was like a 6-shooter, right? I didn't think it was real, but I didn't want to test it because I had my fur babies too. And I didn't want any of us to lose our lives. We're struggling, right? And so he goes on and he busts one window out of my stuff. I'm like, I was mad, dude. I was so mad. And then he had a girl in the car with him. And they drove off and they were laughing. I called the popo. And God, I wasn't, a few days later, maybe a few weeks later, see him at the Domino's Pizza. I come walking through there, like him and the girl. I come walking through there. And I'm, because I'm in street mode now. I'm in street mode. This is, this wasn't Coach T. This was street T. So I was already in that mode because how dare you disturb my peace, And he cowered down real quick. All of a sudden, he wasn't so big and bad, and I was yelling at him. I was telling him some proper stuff, and so that was that part. The biggest thing about the scariest thing that I faced about being stalked, by this ex-roommate. That was supposed to take me in. I guess she thought that she was going to groom me or whatever. Didn't happen, so she discarded me and I quit. So when you're dealing with narcissists, and she was a sociopath on top of that, so the abandonment was just boom, 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 right? Through the roof. And I'm thinking, and it doesn't make sense because I didn't abandon her, right? But this is what you're dealing with when you're dealing with cluster B personalities. And the scariest thing was, every job that I had, she was having people harass me, or she would be parked outside of my job, or she would leave bullets. I have a picture on my YouTube, video of on my YouTube of her leaving a bird with a BB pellet, because she had a fascination with guns, right? And you know, if you go to my YouTube and find her, you'll know that what her history is and the reason why they don't give her guns. Yeah, it was aggravating, because it was like I didn't have any peace. She was hell bent, and then the scariest thing was, again, somebody with a toy gun. She pulled this gun out, and I was, because every time I walked to work, I was being harassed. When I walked from work, I was being harassed by her or one of her flying monkeys. She was gang affiliated, and they had a system where they would harass on each other's parts, and you know, get their get back or whatever. And this is why you heal yourself, you know what I mean? Because you don't want all that resentment. That's now all of this is going to come back on her soon. And so anyway, there was a guy who started walking at the same time I would be leaving work. And I dreaded it, but I was just so used to it. I was so numb in my body. You know, I was just like, God, I'm doing everything that I'm supposed to be doing. And I'm having people who are trying to take over my life, and because of this person. You discarded me and I left, right? I left in peace, actually. And she lied and slandered. I was like, okay, whatever, you know, because I wasn't used to somebody trying to clinch on to another person like that. Anyway, so the guy started, you know, walking with me with his lab, and you know, I was like, okay, cool. And I'm just trying to walk fast just to get to the train, so I can get on, I can get to my babies, I could take them out, I could take a shower, and I could go to sleep. That's all I wanted. But this is what I had to deal with for a year. But towards the end, at this one particular time, with the stalker, it was actually her in this vehicle, because they would use the same vehicle, just different people. And it was actually her in this vehicle, and I saw something out of the corner of my eye. I saw something, and I was like, oh gosh, I think she has a weapon. But I wasn't tripping, but I knew it was going to hurt. But it's a BB gun. You can't get a real gun, you know what I mean? Or a paint gun or something. Because I had been shot with a paint gun in Sacramento. So that was something that these you know, gang members or cult members were doing. They called them the red shirts. The police knew them as the red shirts. I don't know if that was the real stuff that they called them. But anyway, she was a part of that. And what was she, like 50 years old, which was weird to me. But anyway, she had pulled it out to shoot me, and the guy sees her, and he sees her clearly. I just see it out of my peripheral, and I'm like, you know what is? He runs to catch up to me to block it, and she does a quick a quick flip at this street. And yeah, so that was the it was not pretty being homeless. And it wasn't pretty being homeless and lesbian, because people feel that because you're at rock bottom, that you should just be subservient, and you should be pliable to whatever their desires, however perverted their desires are. And believe me, I had men and women. Okay? I'm a lesbian, right? Just been celibate and single. So, but she thought that she rationalized in her own mind, right? This is the sickness. I'm helping you so I can do whatever I want. You're living in my house so I can do whatever I want to you. No, you can't. No. I mean, so if you wanted me to leave, I left, but she wouldn't leave it alone. So those are the two situations. So it was the scariest moments I faced while I was homeless and while I was being stalked by an ex-roommate. So, yeah.